Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. My name is Ed Ostrom, and I am the worship associate this morning. We are grateful for your presence. Whether you're watching this on this service live this morning, or whether you found just the right time to watch the recorded version, we are a welcoming congregation, freely speaking intellectual and spiritual growth. We strive to create a larger community of peace, justice, and love. Even in this time of separation, each of us is encouraged to grow spiritually in following with others by joining in worship and in online opportunities that offer education, reflection, and discussion. We try to do all of this in the spirit of love and acceptance, reaching out with our hearts, offering mutual support in these times of separation. If you are new to us and are interested in being on our mailing list or finding out more about this wonderful congregation, we urge you to check out our website, firstuuwilm.org. Once again, that's firstuuwilm.org. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship. And there is no better way than with our first piece, To a Wild Rose.
You do. I do. If I have as much fur on as you do, yeah.
Our call to worship this morning is by the Reverend Kathleen McTeague. Into this community, we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring compassionate hearts and a will toward justice. Into this community, we bring the courage to continue on after hard losses. Into this community, we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we bless this community. Here we know ourselves to be blessed. This is our time for worship.
Our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity in the authentic and gentle manner of our connection. We cultivate a simple sweetness in brightening our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful, may we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of orphans silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
Please join me now in these words for our meditation this morning. They are by the Reverend Gordon McKeeman. For simple things that are not simple at all, for miracles of the common way, sunrise, sunset, seed time and harvest, hope, joy, ecstasy, for grace that turns our intentions into deeds, our compassion into helpfulness, our pain into mercy, for all that sustains and supports our needs. We lift our hearts in thankfulness and pray only to be more aware. and thus more alive. Join now in shared silence. As we gather here this morning, we bring with us in heart and mind those for whom we have care and concern, those who may be in need of love and healing. I invite you to share the names of these beloveds in our chat. I invite you to say them softly aloud wherever you may be. I ask that you hold the names of these beloveds in silence. In all these ways, bring them forward and let the community hold them all. For all those whose names we hold, whether spoken, shared, or in silence, we ask that they may know healing, that they may know love this day. So may it be. Before our reading this morning, just one sentence from the poet Mary Oliver. It is a serious thing to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world. Our poem is entitled Prevail, an Etymology by the Reverend Teresa Soto. Isn't it a weird word, though, prevail? How could we win before we encounter the challenge? Before what? Not like preheat an oven or pre-measure an ingredient. It turns out that pre doesn't mean before in the way that we're used to. It comes from a Middle English PRA, which means toward greater strength. That and a quarter will get you a gumball, let me reassure you. No one knows everything, even though they wisecrack like they do. You could not know before right now what this moment would call for. Knowing, you now move toward greater strength. Knowing, this very moment you teach yourself and your community what and how we shall be more able, not simply to survive the day, but also to take the future back into our own hard working hands, our communal resistance, our possession. You will prevail if you commit. Doing the next thing because it is next, moving toward greater strength, building the skills it takes to heal the aching world. For now, and farewell. In yesterday's Letter from an American, Heather Cox Richardson wrote that it feels like we have lived a century in the past year. With COVID deaths now over 600,000, with over 136 million of us in this country now vaccinated, and yesterday, with the first celebration of the newest federal holiday, Juneteenth, yes, in yesterday's letter, it feels like a century. And this time I have spent with you, it has felt like a ministry for now, a changing now. After only 2 days, there came the insurrection. 6 weeks became 6 months. Planning for Reverend Pam to return became saying farewell. The search process became doing what is needed to welcome the Reverend Larry Pierce. And even as pandemic closure lasts a bit longer, plans for multi-platform church and opening on In-Gathering Sunday take shape. Now, on this day, on this Sunday, on this day, like every other day, we recognize the many and much of our lives. On this day, which is its own day, we say, hey there, Pride Month. With the 5-year grief of the Pulse Massacre and the 52-year heck yes of the Stonewall Uprising, we love you and all your people, for you are our people. Your myriad identities and orientations and truths which make the human family full, abundant, and better. Hey there, Juneteenth, longtime African American holiday. now a federal holiday, not just overnight, but after decades of longing and organizing by Black elders like Opal Lee, let us show them respect. This is an American holiday, a holiday of freedom and liberation. Hey there, Father's Day. Fathers of all kinds, journeys outside narrow gender expression, refusals of toxic masculinity, we raise up the radical idea that men have the full human capacity to nurture, a truer than true phrase. Hey there, summer solstice. Tonight, the longest day of the year, late evening light as invitation to adjust again to natural cycles and ancient rhythms. May we accept your gift to claim our full participation. May we accept your gift to claim our full participation in the interdependent web of all existence. On this day, on this Sunday, on this day, like every other day, we recognize the many and much of our lives. On this day, on this Sunday, as this ministry for now comes to an end, we will say farewell. In her poem, Prevail, Reverend Soto reveals the pre in prevail does not mean before. In the word prevail, it means toward. Reverend Soto's words speak for me. No one knows everything. You could not know before right now what this moment would call for. Knowing, you now move toward greater strength. Knowing, this very moment you teach yourself what and how we shall be more able not simply to survive, but also to take the future back into our own hardworking hands. Our communal resistance and possession. That poem concludes, you will prevail if you commit. Doing the next thing because it is next. Moving toward greater strength. Building the skills it takes to heal the aching world. You will prevail. Friends, over a decade of interim ministry, I have said farewell to 6 congregations. This past August, I said my farewell during the pandemic. As I did then, I want to share with you, describing rather than doing, what has become my leaving ritual. It involves chocolate kisses, small packets of tissues, and a time to dance. I always keep a bowl of chocolate kisses on my desk. At church, All were welcome to stop in the office and take one or a few to say hello, take a break, make time for conversation. The only time there was no chocolate in my office was when I had taken the basket full to a meeting. If only this ministry for now had included opportunities for sharing chocolate. I have a bowl ready. I don't know if you might have noticed along the way, but I am hardwired for tears. I have been for years. They come on, it seems, when whatever I'm saying, whenever I'm preaching or praying or reading a poem, when there is something in there that matters so much and is felt so deep, well, I'm prone to tears, anger, sorrow, joy. It's just the way I am. So if we were together, in addition to that bowl full of chocolate kisses, I'd have a basket full of these, a basket full of tissues. I'd offer you one, and maybe I'd toss a packet or two across the sanctuary into waiting hands. When this hard wiring kicks in, whether I'm praying or preaching or reading a poem, I'm at a momentary loss for words. As the letters and sounds are regathered, I catch my breath and continue on. Maybe you've had a moment like that. If we were together, I assure you there'd be plenty of tissues to go around. And as I took a breath and the sounds regathered and became words again, I'd remind myself and say to you, whatever you must do, don't let a momentary loss for words stop you. So there's chocolate to be shared and tissues in case they're needed. And there is always time for dancing. In my other life, I'm a ballroom dancer. That's a picture of me with my partner, Tamaz. At that moment, we were dancing rumba, I think. Well, there is always time for dancing. That is my other life, and after 17 years, I am still surprised by it and deeply grateful for every dance with my teacher. With no pandemic interference, we'd be gathering after the service and dance. There'd be a little cha-cha, a little swing, maybe a little waltz. You can dance them all seated or moving, just with your hands, just with your head, just with your heart. There'd be a little dancing. And with the pandemic present, we'd pause. We'd pause over the words of poet Alice Walker. In her collection of poems, entitled Hard Times Require Furious Dancing, she says, Though we have all encountered our share of grief and troubles, we can still hold the line of beauty, form, and beat. No small accomplishment in a world as challenging as this one. Hard times require furious dancing. Each of us is the proof. And if we were there together, because we are together, we'd be living proof. So, friends, as this ministry, for now, moves toward its end on June 30th, I wish for you the blessings of connection with or without chocolate, the blessings of deep caring with or without words, the blessings of courage with or without that proof of knowing that it lives in us. I wish you blessings.
Now is the time for us to express our gratitude for this community, its work, its vision, and all of the ways in which it nourishes our lives, from its welcoming doors and walls to the good and generous people. Every once in a while, I'm asked what Unitarian Universalists believe. I must admit to initially being stumped. Oh, not because we don't believe, but because we believe so much. We believe in the freedom of religion, of tolerance, of religious ideas, in the authority of reason and of conscience, in the never-ending search for truth, in the worth and dignity of every human being. Additionally, I believe in the importance of this place in Wilmington, this place of beauty, this building, our gardens, and most of all, its people. It's good here. And to maintain and grow requires the greenery of foliage and of money. And with that latter thought in mind, you can contribute in any of three ways as shown on your screen. Your gifts are gratefully received. And now, please join me in dedicating our offering to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
mountain passes, depths of the ocean, dew on the grasses, great things and small, with a light gently glowing, word of the wordless song, God's vision growing. Delicate beings, lace wing and sparrow, in field and forest, clover and yarrow, life greeting life with a light brightly glowing. None are too small to be God's vision growing. In human eyes,
Unitarian Universalist Flower Communion service originated in 1923 with Dr. Norbert Capek, founder of the modern Unitarian movement in Czechoslovakia. It was he who wrote both the words and the music to the hymn that Richard and Darlene just sang. On the last Sunday before the summer recess of the Unitarian Church in Prague, all the children and adults participated in this colorful ritual, which gives concrete expression to the humanity-affirming principles of our liberal faith. When the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, they found Dr. Capek's gospel of inherent worth and beauty of every person to be, as Nazi court records show, too dangerous to the Reich for him to be allowed to live. Dr. Capek was sent to Dachau, where he was killed the next year. This gentle man suffered a cruel death, but his message of human hope and decency lives on through his flower communion.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here with you today. I'm going to share the story of the Unitarian Universalist Flower Communion. In the city of Prague, in the land of Czechoslovakia, in the year 1923, there was a church. The building did not look at all like this church. In fact, it did not look like a church at all. It did not have a tall spiral reaching to the sky like some churches do. It did not have massive doors carved of wood or windows of stained glass with colored light shining through. It did not have statues or pictures or candles or chalices or a piano or flowers. The church had 4 walls, a ceiling, a floor, 1 door, a few windows, and some hard wooden chairs. But the church had people who came every Sunday, and they were the most important part of the church, because without people, any church is just a building, no matter how tall its spires or how fancy it is. The church also had a minister. His name was Norbert Capek. Reverend Capek had been the minister of this church for 2 years. Every Sunday he spoke to the people and they listened, sitting quietly on those hard wooden chairs. When he was finished speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves, and then they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no food, not even juice or coffee or veggies. Reverend Capek wondered sometimes if there might be something, perhaps just a little something more. He wrote some songs and the people sang them, but nothing else came to his mind. So the church went on as before. Then, one spring morning, as Reverend Capek was out for a walk, he noticed the birds singing and the flowers blooming, and he thought, how beautiful the world is. Then, an idea came to him. The following Sunday, he asked all the people of the church to bring a flower or a budding branch, or even a twig to church the next week. Each person was to bring one. What kind, they asked. What color? What size? You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so, the next Sunday, the first Sunday of summer, the people came with flowers of all different colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow daisies and red roses, white lilies and blue asters, dark-eyed pansies and light green leaves, pink and purple, orange and gold, all those colors and more. Flowers filled all the vases, and the church wasn't so plain anymore. Reverend Capek spoke to the people, and they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. Those flowers are like us, he said. Different colors, different shapes, different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, important, and special in its own way. Each flower is like each of you, different shapes, colors, sizes, unique and special. It takes many flowers to make a bouquet, and it takes many kinds of people to make a church community. Everyone in our church needs a little something different from the church, and everyone gives something different to the church. It takes all of us to make our church beautiful, strong, and special, like a beautiful bouquet of flowers. And that Sunday, when the people left the church, they each chose a different flower to take home with them, to remind them of the beauty of their congregation.
This flower represents the flowers in the world. They remind me of humankind. Like us, they were protected in the womb of the earth, cared for as they emerged, watered, fed, and most grew tall and strong. They are multicolored, some short and some tall, some skinny and some large, but most are healthy. And then at some point in their adolescence, their buds burst forth, producing blooms of beauty. They emerge into the world. Many continue to receive nourishment, allowing them to mature, to remain healthy. But many, too many, are ignored, or worse, mistreated. And as a consequence, their potential is cut short. My hope is that those of us who nourish our flowers and each other will overcome those who languish in the darkness of ignorance, or worse, those that relish doing harm to our flowers and to mankind.
Pondering this flower as just a part of a bouquet, I'm reminded of the welcome most of us worship associates use to open our worship services, to highlight the diversity of our congregation. From the range of the hues of our skin, to the extent of the varieties of our ethnicities, from the span of the expanse of where we find ourselves on our spiritual journeys, from those of us with Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Muslim roots, to atheists, remember the Godfreys, to believers, to pagans, to discoverers, all of us searching for meaning. Then there is the whom you love, our embracing gay, straight, and transgender members. And then there are so many different ways we give to enrich our community, from singing or making music, to being on the AV team to make these virtual services possible, to working with our youth, or preparing food to contribute to the Emmanuel Dining Room. From volunteering in our church office, to creating an online photo gallery, to serving on the board of trustees, to making your financial contribution to the support of the work of this church. We are indeed a rich bouquet of a beloved community.
These flowers are symbolic of our community. We are as varied as they are in how we are seen in this world. Some of us have different colors and shapes. Some of us like the glow of full sunlight, and others prefer to be partly hidden in the shade. Yet each contributes to this vibrant community, and without each of us, we would be diminished as a church. Like these flowers, we all need the basics to thrive. Some need more of one thing and others less. Here at this church, we strive to provide each of us the basics so that we might grow and thrive in our spiritual depth. This past year has been less than ideal to provide that nurturing environment, but we will come out of it stronger because we realize what we haven't had for so long. As was said, the first flower communion came about in 1923 as a way to unite the Prague Unitarians, who were a growing congregation with people of different religious backgrounds. As Capek said of this ritual, a flower is divine. You cannot create it whatever effort you make. You can create only a dead forgery without fragrance and life, nothing more. We are all divine, and each brings fragrance and life to our community. May we continue to bring more beauty into our midst, just like these flowers bring beauty into the world.
Amazingly unique. What better symbol for our uniqueness as individual humans with inherent worth and beauty? Not only do flowers have unique attributes, but at times have unique needs. This flower is a blossom from a hydrangea plant, beautiful and hardy even through harsh winters, but sometimes it struggles to thrive and needs extra care. During drought, or when it is attacked by insects, or if the branches have been damaged, we continue to care for all the flowers in our garden, but at that moment we know that this plant needs special attention. And so do we as humans at times have unique needs. Our First U community recognized this when in 2016 we chose to declare to the rest of the community that Black Lives Matter. We didn't stop affirming the inherent worth and dignity of all humans, but we knew that Black individuals and their communities were being hurt and needed extra care to grow and thrive again. Flower communion reminds us that honoring the inherent worth and dignity of every person doesn't just happen, and in fact can be dangerous, as it was for Norbert Capek. But together as a community, we are stronger and ready to take risks to affirm our principles.
In the spirit of the beauty of flower communion, I invite you to join now in the spirit of our closing words, which are a prayer. Spirit of life, we are gathered with a deep longing for humanity to live in love. May this longing be renewed in us as resolution, regardless of any kind of bar which estranges us one from another. In this resolution, may we be strengthened, knowing that one Spirit, the Spirit of love, unites us. May our endeavor be for a more just and a more joyful life. Amen.
Some of these flowers are real. I can actually smell them. I extinguished this flame with the words of Mahatma Gandhi. Many people, especially ignorant people, want to punish you for speaking the truth, for being correct, for being you. Now, never apologize for being correct or for being years ahead of your time. If you are right and you know it, speak your mind, even if you are a minority of one. The truth is still the truth.
Folks, if you want to stay on for just a couple minutes, we have a small farewell for Reverend Tracey that will begin right after the slide that says, "Thank you for tuning in." I'm going to remove the spotlight. Travis, are you here with us?
I am.
Okay, let me make sure you're spotlighted. Let's see, let's get you spotlighted to make sure it's big for everyone. So Travis is one of our co-presidents of the Board of Trustee, and he would like to share a few words this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I have the honor of speaking on behalf of my co-president, Leslie Dickerson, on behalf of the board, and on behalf of the church and congregation as a whole, to say thank you to Reverend Tracey for her time with us over the past 6 months. When you just say 6 months, it sounds like a short period of time, but in the COVID time warp, strange things happen, and I think we've gotten to know Reverend Tracey much better. And
excuse me, somebody's logged on. Let me, okay, try again, Travis. Keep going.
So we've gotten to know Reverend Tracey much more deeply and than we might have. And she has done so much for us in this short period. I think everyone should think back and consider the challenge that Reverend Tracey took on when doing this. When we originally reached out to her in December, we were in a bit of a pickle. Reverend Pam had needed to take some time off. And the concept of parachuting in mid-year to help a church is just not something that really happens in the UUA. The ministry in the UUA goes on a cycle. There is a routine, there's a beginning and an end, there's a scripted arriving at congregations, there's a search process. So there was no a plan for this. There was no blueprint, but we were very grateful that Reverend Tracey was willing to step up and give it a shot. So that was the first challenge that she took on. She took on the challenge of doing a brief ministry with us and doing it remote and doing it during the time of COVID. That then morphed into a second, more significant challenge when Reverend Pam indicated that she needed more time. So what we thought had been a 6-week assignment, which we were grateful to have her help with, quickly turned into a 6-month assignment, which of course was a far more significant undertaking, and we were very grateful for her that she would do that. During that time, she has done so much for the church. She has served as one of the members of our executive team, and in that capacity, really been one of our main senior day-to-day leaders. She's worked with the worship associates and with the AV team to handle Sunday worship, which is the environment in which many of us see her. But behind the scenes, she's been working with the staff. She's met regularly with Leslie and me. She's worked with the board. Some of the things she's taken on as someone new to us, helping us plan our budget. And of course, the challenges of helping planning for reopening, which is an ever and ongoing issue. So on behalf of everyone, I would just like to thank Reverend Tracey for all the time and attention and caring that she's given to us. We're incredibly grateful. As you move on to the next phase, I hope you remain happy and healthy and well, and that you continue to dance through life. So thank you very much. And as we did before with Reverend Pam, we'd certainly like to open the floor if anyone else would like to say anything to Reverend Tracey. But on behalf of the church as a whole, I wanted to give those thoughts and say how much this short time has meant to all of us.
This is Linda. I just want to say thank you